It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag college basketball.
Michigan beats UConn to win it all, 69-63. L.A. Cadeau got to the rim, bunch of easy lay-ins, putbacks, that kind of stuff. He had 19 points. It's a good thing, PK, because whether it was the fact these are two great defensive teams or maybe shooting in the dome, maybe it's the pressure of the moment, maybe it's all those things, that was a terrible shooting performance from the three-point line. But, hey, win with the other stuff, and Michigan did, despite 2 of 15 from the arc.
Toughness, the one guy you mentioned from West Orange, New Jersey.
All right, well, Michigan gets the win. They do it with 5 transfers, PK, and I guess we'll get to this coming up in the next segment, but welcome to the New World Order. All those recruiting rankings, so what? Find me some transfers.
It's an amazing accomplishment. New coach, second year, blah, blah, blah. And I always felt they were going to win. I think they were a better team. And, and Dan Hurley talking about it, they didn't hit shots. I mean, it's kind of flushed out that neither team was really hitting shots. And if one team would have shot the ball average, maybe above average a little bit, they probably would have won. But it flushed out, and it was a wash. And so then Michigan had a little more, just a little bit more talent to be able to do what they did in that circumstance. Certainly if UConn had been average, or, I mean, obviously Mullins, a bunch of shots that were completely and totally makeable, they didn't go in. And that's when a one-game basis, shooting in basketball, it's why coaches are 50 years old and look like they're 75, because they worry about that, because it happens. And it happened for both teams, but, you know, your team thinking, and Hurley and these guys are going to be replaying it in their minds, but the shots that they made to beat Duke weren't falling here. So you go back and forth on that, and you never know on a one-game basis if teams are relatively even, which I thought they were.
North Carolina hired former Denver Nuggets coach Michael Malone. He won 510 games in 12 seasons in the NBA, won an NBA title, hasn't coached at the college level since 2001. We're seeing more and more of this. Well, as long as we're playing the players, it's a pro game. Let's go get a pro coach. See how it pays off for North Carolina, but that one came out of left field a little bit when you saw the names that were being mentioned, and then they pivot and go get Michael Malone. But the transfer portal's opening, and they couldn't let this drag on, or could have wrecked the team. So I think the portal's open today. It's go time.
I think the portal has been open for a while in terms of players putting their names in there, and you can have some conversations. I mean, these rules that they have, and who pays attention to them, I'm not sure. But we'll see what he does, pro coach, and can they make the adjustment? I mean, there's no point thinking, well, there's been X amount of pro coaches who have gone and they've succeeded or they haven't succeeded, whatever, because everything is relatively brand new. It's only 2 or 3 years into it, so you can't really count on what's been going on for the last 40, 50 years.
Xavier Staten announced he's entering the NCAA transfer portal, so he is leaving BYU. Jordy Barnes, former Olympus High star, is leaving Utah State. He's entering the transfer portal, and we can keep going. The Utah guys going in the portal as well. It's that time of year.
Brown, their leading scorer, and then what's the kid, the big kid who for Utah State? He put his name in there and looked like he might be developing like in the next 2 or 3 years to be something special. We'll see what happens there. But a couple guys returned for Utah State.
Yes, Utah State's getting Falslove and Templin back. So
and they'll do well, and they'll maybe win the first round game and then go out in the second round.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag Utah Jazz.
Utah Jazz have 3 games left in the season, 1 game left in this road trip. They are in New Orleans tonight against the Pelicans. Tip-off at the Smoothie King Center, set for 6 o'clock. Pregame show at 5 here on The Zone. Just 3 more games, PK, and we can say goodbye to this era. Now, it's like you say, Utah Jazz 1.0, Utah Jazz 2.0. They always do this with teams. Like, they don't really number the downtimes, the rebuilds. The third rebuild, the fourth rebuild, comes to a close. But hopefully that's what we're about to see. Just 3 more of this. Get it over with already.
Well, it's 1 more week. I mean, I can wait.
Yep.
I'm not in a big hurry to have it happen. I don't want to wish away time. Yeah, this is. Then it is at 12:01. Like the transfer portal opened at 12:01 Sunday night. It's go time for the Jazz.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag NBA.
In the NBA, Victor Wembanyama, rib contusion. He leaves the game. San Antonio beats Philadelphia 115-102. Told reporters after the game he's not concerned about being out long. Not that big a deal, which is good since, as you just pointed out, there's only a week left in the season. It's almost time for the playoffs, so be healthy.
Oh, good for them, but bad for others. And what are you, a San Antonio fan now?
Oh, humongous. Yeah, just ginormous. Detroit Pistons star Cade Cunningham nearing a return to action after suffering a collapsed lung last month. He's been out since March 19th. They are the top seed in the East. I think they got beat last night, but whatever, they're holding on to the top spot despite that 123-107 loss in Orlando. 57 wins for the Pistons this year. Big season. And Denver, in overtime, beat Portland. That is your dark horse in the West now. With the Lakers all banged up, they get a W as they make a push here to the finish line. The Bulls cleaning house, start over. 6 years with Arturas Karnisovas and general manager Mark Eversley. So they're out. The executive vice president of basketball operations, the GM, both gone. Only 1 playoff appearance in the last 6 years. The Bulls will start over again.
Well, bad for them, but at least I now know who they were, because up until yesterday, I had no idea who they were.
Yeah. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
Countdown's on to the draft later this month. Former Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza widely expected to be the number 1 pick going to the Raiders, making his formal pre-draft visit to Las Vegas. Find out where the locker rooms are. Get a tour of the stadium. Probably use that to get a little local media, try to sell some tickets.
I know where the stadium is. I've covered several games there.
Yeah, you've been there way more than Fernando Mendoza.
And I've been there once for a concert and probably 5 or 6 times for games.
Oh, really? That many? I thought, because you got Vegas Bowls plus conference title games. Yeah, plus that Notre Dame BYU game. Yeah, a ton of games there. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson reported for the team's first off-season workouts yesterday, showing he's ready to build with new head coach Jesse Mintner. There were rumors that he might not participate, but there he was in the flesh. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Dodgers get the good news and the bad news. The World Series rematch with Toronto. Good news is Dodgers win 14-2. The bad news for the Jays, not only do they lose the game, Max Scherzer lifted after 2 innings due to forearm tendonitis. It's affecting how hard he could throw, so Max Scherzer out.
I lifted this morning a little bit too.
Guardians All-Star third baseman Jose Ramirez becomes the franchise's all-time leader in games played, 1,620 games. That's every day for 10 years. Of course, nobody plays every day for 10 years. He didn't do it in a row, but you get the idea. They lose the game, though, 4-2 to Kansas City. You see the pictures of Tropicana Field? Absolutely packed. The Rays beat the Cubs 6-4. It had been almost 2 years since they played there. Hurricane Milton ripping the roof off the stadium, major repairs. But they're back, and it looks like it's much brighter, I guess, with the new roof. They're letting a little more of the light in. So, place is packed.
Yeah, they were discussing this morning on the baseball channel driving in if that can work, if that area will be able to support a team. And they were talking about, can they be like the San Diego Padres, who now pack the place every night? But there was a time when that wasn't the case, and they got the new ballpark that's beautiful and activities around there, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And so, I'm not familiar with the area, so I can't really speak to it. I mean, I know that the Florida teams don't draw particularly well. So I don't know if they can. They don't have a lot of attendance in their games, so we'll see.
Took 10 games, but Cal Raleigh went deep. Rangers beat the Mariners 2-1. Raleigh set a MLB record for a catcher at 60 home runs last year. Now he's got 10 games into the season. And the Bees open a series in Reno tonight. Tony Park's on the call. First pitch at 7:05. The game will be on 102.7 HD2 or the KSL Sports app because the Jazz and Mammoth will be on 97.5 and 1280 The Zone tonight. DJ and PK.
#golf.
Colin Morikawa will play through a back injury this week at the Masters. He's been dealing with it since the Players' Championship, forced him to withdraw from the Valero Texas Open. But that's the Valero Texas Open, PK. This is the Masters. You got to try to gut it out. You don't want to skip Augusta.
And they listened to, he did the interview yesterday, and I listened to it this morning. And, that's what he was talking about. It's not in great condition, but it's something that he's going to try to push through. He says you can't rush the human body. His spirit sounded okay, knowing that it's not ideal, but this is the Masters, and it comes around once a year, and you get only so many chances to play in your prime, and so here it is. We'll see what he can do.
And the leadership at Augusta National asking Jason Day to tame his clothing choices for this week's tournament. He was asked to do the same thing last year. He's got a deal with Malbon Golf. He wore a Birds of Georgia-themed outfit yesterday. He's expected to wear a Bird Watcher-themed vest in his practice rounds this week. Tone it down. Don't be too loud out there. This is Augusta.
Well, this is golf. They don't normally. Shirt's got to be tucked in. You got to wear. They haven't got on the new groovy trend in allowing shorts. Could you imagine if they allowed shorts? Oh my gosh.
The world would everything would stop. Race Creek would stop running. Not that it's running that fast.
How about Dawson's Creek? Is that still running?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Brian Taylor's at Augusta. Real Golf Radio will check in with us coming up at 8:30 this morning. DJ and PK.
#NHL.
Utah Mammoth down to the last 6 games of the year. 5 of them at home, including tonight. The Edmonton Oilers come in. Puck drop set for 7:30. This one's on ESPN and 1280 The Zone. Mike Folta on the call. Mike is going to join us coming up at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. The Mammoth haven't beaten the Oilers. Time to break through, especially since they might see each other for a first-round series here, depending on how things work out down the stretch. Edmonton's in a 3-way battle for the division title in the Pacific, and it looks like the Mammoth will probably play whoever finishes first in that division. And more late-season firings. Always fire somebody right before the playoffs. The Devils send general manager Tom Fitzgerald packing after 5+ seasons in charge. Led him to the playoffs twice, but he's out. What is Trending is brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. All right, Mike coming up at 8 o'clock. Brian Taylor at 8:30. The question of the day is next. Stay with us.
This is JJ and Alex. I got this.
And the Mammoth obviously have a lot of work cut out for them still because they are now at a point where, again, I hate looking at the percentages, JJ. Doesn't it make you nervous to go, yeah, right now they sit at 76.5% to be that wild card 1 team. There's so much hockey still left to be played.
Yeah, that percentage can drop quickly if you lose 4 straight again. Overall, you're looking at where this team is at. They're in that number 1 wild card spot. They control their own destiny. I would rather be in that number 1 wild card spot than in the number 3 central spot because if you're the Wild, you're either playing the Avalanche or the Stars in the first round. That's brutal.
It is.
I would rather be the Mammoth. You're going to be playing a first-round playoff series against the Ducks, and then you get the winner of the Oilers and Knights in the next round. I'd rather do that than get the Stars or Avalanche in the second round. If they're in that number 1 wild card spot with as good as that team is, there's a path for them to go on a long run in the playoffs, not just win a series.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 7 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Question of the morning, hot takes or toast? Why do players have to announce they're re-signing with the school they are from? How come we just can't assume you're staying like we always used to assume, PK? Why does this have to be such big news? Hector, to show they got more money to stay.
I don't know that every
David.
decision is money. I can't say that. Every single one, every last one is just I'm going to take the most money no matter what.
David says everyone's seeking attention. It's a look-at-me attitude. Clinton thinks it's attention-seeking, a generation raised on likes and social media.
Is it
A
the
factor?
individual
Sure.
or is it the school putting it out?
Oh, see, I do think the school wants it out there. Chris says it can settle the nerves of fans and boosters. And does it help the coach? Because now they can recruit to these, hey, we got this player back, we got that player back, we're going to be pretty good. You want to be here. So, yeah, I can see where there could be a little self-interest in the school, whether it's connecting with donors, selling season tickets, getting people to write more NIL checks, or getting a player to come, whether it's a high school player or a transfer.
See, I think that in some cases that you are giving up maybe more money. Let's take the case of Mason Falslev. I don't have specific details, but just follow me here for the sake of argument, right? He could go to – he's a very good player, right? A box score stuffer kind of kid. Across the board, he manages to do well and everything, right? Assists, rebounds, points, blah, blah, blah. And so he's heading into his senior year, I believe, right? So he just finished his junior year, obviously. And so he could probably get more money, fill in the blank. We know who has a lot of money available, right? The Kentuckys of the world. But with him staying through, has he ever had the same coach? Different coaches every year, practically. You know, you hear about the coordinators changing. Like Alex Smith had 7 coordinators in his first 7 years in the NFL. So he stays there, and he is a local kid. And they've had a lot of success. And this past season was a highlight season, justifiably so, for Utah State basketball. You won the league, you won the conference tournament, you won a game, and then you competed against a team that was in the Final Four, right? Excellent season. He's a local young man. He becomes a local hero. So now, I don't know what he's going to do. Does he want to go overseas and play? Maybe he does. But at some point when he's in that community, it's like Jimmer with BYU. You hear Jimmer doing commercials for car dealerships. Yak and I were just talking about it. What was it, last week?
Yep.
Yeah, saying, okay, this guy lives over in Denver. His wife's family is from Denver. So they decide to settle there, right? And then he ends up with Frashilla, who lives down at the Springs where they have the Olympic stuff, so he's involved in the 3-on-3. That came about. But he still has a presence here. We saw it with Ty Detmer for a number of years, being able to do endorsements here, even though he was living down in Texas, right? And so Falslep then can make more money living off his resume at Utah State in the Cache Valley area. Clearly he can. He'll always be a popular figure because he had multiple chances to leave, and with new coaches, you could sort of understand it, but each time he says no. So even if he doesn't get as much money in the long term, it could pad his bank account, and I hope it does for him if that's what he wants.
He literally has had a relationship with all 6 of the coaches they've had over the last 10 years. He was such a big deal in high school. He was getting recruited very early, and Tim Duryea started the recruiting on him. So, yeah, to your point about sticking through all those coaches, he has lasted through every single one, whether it was his high school recruitment. I think he did a year before he went on his mission, then red shirts comes back. So he stuck all of those out. He's an Aggie through and through. And that'll pay off for him.
And
10,
then that
20, 30
means
years down the road.
something to people. And it means something more than ever.
Yes.
You can
it's always,
say that
It's always
now.
meant something. It's always meant something,
Yeah.
but there's just so few of those guys. And actually with Templin, now they'll have 2 of them. Now the difference is Templin is from Texas, so I
Right.
don't know if he's going to settle in the Cache Valley. He could.
If he's smart,
See
he
how that
will.
plays out. Yeah, right. We've seen athletes go. And it doesn't matter, pro, college, wherever have your most success, right?
Yeah.
Darrell Griffith went back to Louisville. He had more success there than he had with the Jazz.
Oh, yeah, won an NCAA title, I believe, right? So
Pace and Thurl are here. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he won the NCAA title. Pace and Thurl are here. So, yeah, Mark Eaton stayed here. There's another guy.
It's just a smart decision, and you like to see it in the current climate, having him do that. And he could make more money. So it is funny, though, that they have to put out re-signed, which just indicates, by using the word re-signed, that also indicates that we're in a new world. Because it's not, you don't have to, you didn't have to re-sign. But here, saying your re-sign takes on a pro meaning. And that's the way it is now. So it should be re-sign, because it is, in very real sense, a professional agreement, basically.
Alex says, I don't know why they do it, but as an Aggie fan, Mason and Carson are coming back for their final years. I couldn't be happier.
If I'm an Aggie fan, I agree.
They want it done. Yeah, you're right. It generates enthusiasm in the fan base, so anything you can do in the offseason to do that, well, of course do that. Keep that team front and center, because you're still out there recruiting, you're still out there raising money.
So innocent and pure in a world, in a sport where innocence and purity don't exist that much.
They're out the window.
Yeah.
Russell, college sports is whack, and it's starting to turn people away. But not at the schools that are winning.
But
just at the schools that are losing.
The metrics don't indicate that that's true. Right now. Can I say it's the same in 5, 10, 15, 20 years? No. But right now, it seems to be that the angst, which is there, is not something that is having such a negative effect.
And there are many effects. Like, this is one new thing, but teams draw for different reasons. You were just talking in the last segment about how you heard, I don't know where, MLB Network or MLB Radio or somewhere. They were talking about, is baseball really going to work? They had a big crowd in Tampa in the stadium, and they put the new roof on and all that. But could it really become San Diego? I'm like, well, San Diego's attendance spiked, and there were two things that happened because everything around the Padres changed. One, the ownership decided to spend a lot of money on the team. Nobody in Tampa Bay has decided to do that. That excited the people. It was partly bringing guys in, but it was partly paying the guys who were there so they didn't leave. And the second thing is the NFL team left, so all of the energy surges into the baseball team as they spend this money. Well, the Rays in Tampa Bay are still competing with an NFL team. The Bucs are right there. And that takes a lot of time, a lot of interest, and a lot of cash. Oddly, I happen to know a Tampa Bay Bucs season ticket holder, and they bill them 12 months out of the year. It's just always on your credit card. Your ticket price is spread out, and you're paying in advance, and it's just the way it is. So there's way more competition. Don't we see that with some schools? You know, how much is your school winning? Is your school good at football? Are you in the shadow of pro teams, or are you away from them? If there are pro teams, they play a different season. I mean, when we do see empty stands, there are other reasons other than NIL. It doesn't necessarily have to come down to, hey, there's these new rules and players are getting paid out in the open, going through the front door, not the back door, as one coach told us.
Yeah, but I think it boils
I don't know
down
if you can put it even.
It boils down to winning.
Win.
And winning is what it's about.
BYU and Utah State go to the NCAA tournament, and their buildings are packed. Utah State's nowhere near the NCAA tournament. Their building is empty.
Yeah, you mean Utah, but
you can.
If you win, people show up. It's really not that complicated. You have to find ways to win.
Where are the winners who are drawing poorly?
In the college game, I don't know. Stanford maybe when they were winning, but I'd have to go back and check because they had a great run there for a while, and it's been a few years now that they haven't, and they have pathetic attendance. So I mean, you could argue that they the people aren't sports oriented there. They go to Stanford, and you have to hit the books, and they're interested in their engineering or nuclear science or whatever stuff that I couldn't even sniff a passing grade in. and the community hasn't rallied around it. So, that's maybe a pro area as opposed to a college area. But I still think if you win, you're probably going to be okay, and there's going to be interest. And that's going to lead to more interest. Strong interest only does one thing. It leads to stronger interest. And you're seeing it with BYU. That we had a number of people complain about them raising the ticket prices as if they're supposed to be different. I mean, there's church leaders that they get all caught up and they have to wear suits wherever they go, and they want to tell you that they're different. And to a degree, they are different. But there's also way more similarities with everybody else than some of these BYU folks would like to admit. And jacking up the ticket prices is one of them, right?
Similarity.
And they should jack them up. If supply and demand, that's the great deal in this country. If I can get X amount of dollars, if people are going to pay them, and apparently people are paying them, will you expect BYU to lower the prices just because they're different? No. If they lower the prices because they're different, they wouldn't be different. They'd be stupid.
And there's somebody standing in line just in case someone doesn't renew for whatever reason. Can't afford it, doesn't want to pay it.
Yeah.
Moves to the East Coast, whatever it is. There's someone else to plug in there. The building will be full next season.
Yeah, and in football, yeah. I mean, you can argue for the Cougars right now, the combo of the two sports, all-time high.
Yeah, I can see why you would say that. I mean, the only thing to compare, maybe Lavelle probably was going 11-1 about the time Danny Ainge was going through Notre Dame. Be the only thing close.
Yeah, I assume there was then. And at that point, the Jazz weren't very good. And so there wasn't a lot of attention directed toward them.
Right.
But that might as well have been 500 years ago. And how much has changed now.
Yeah, it was 45 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
Right. And the Jazz had not had anything close to a stronghold that they have now. So, and away we go. And the area, too, has grown. So there's more people, more with the internet and the opportunity to develop businesses, more entrepreneurs there. We used to call it quarterback U. I always call it entrepreneur U. But I would never write it because I can't spell entrepreneur. That's impossible to spell. I mean, you have no idea how to spell that one. So with that in mind, there's so much more available. And so we hear that things are going down and interest. And to a degree, some people. But, you also get a new breed of people who don't know anything else. And this is what they've been brought up with. Kenny Dillingham talks about that all the time. If you don't like it, that's on you, because this is the way it's going. Even while he says in the next breath, as Kyle says, this can't continue the way it is. But I got two guys. I got one guy at the end and one guy just starting, right? There's a 30-year difference between those two guys in age, right? But yet they both have the same approach and say virtually the same thing. Oh, this can't continue at this pace. The old guy says it. The young guy says it. Meanwhile, they're diving full speed ahead, even though they know it can't continue. But rather than sit there and whine about it, you got to make the best of it. So when they're in the reflective mood, they say it. But when they're in the actual day-to-day thing, it's roll up the sleeves and deal with it and put the best product that you can put out on the field or court. That's the only way to approach it.
It's like watching marathoners and they're sprinting. We can't keep this up, but I'm afraid to let the pack break away, so I'm going to keep sprinting.
Yeah.
What does that mean a mile from now? I don't know. I might run out of gas, but I better not slow down now because these guys will disappear over the hill.
And I actually enjoy the philosophical discussions and conversations that both of those guys have, because it's real interesting. Older, younger. One, not to say he's this year, but obviously he's got way fewer years ahead of him than he does behind him. And it's the other way around with Dillingham. He's got way more years ahead of him than he's already had, and they say the same stuff. And that, to me, when I listen to both of those guys talk like that, that brings tons of credibility because they're not whining about it. They're not saying, this is why I can't win. No, you don't ever hear that out of either of those guys. They're just telling it like it is while trying to get the money to be able to field the most competitive team possible. So that has tons of credibility in my mind because it's not making excuses. Neither one of them ever make excuses about winning or losing, right? They say, this is what happened, here's why we won, here's why we lost. And on the other tone, when it's in a midweek deal or what have you, they'll tell you this is a crazy pace and there's got to be some changes.
It reminds me of Majerus 25 years ago complaining about conference basketball teams.
Yeah, I thought
These
about
things
bringing
are
that
terrible.
up, but I didn't want to bring that up. That was
I know,
30 years ago.
But it's if you're going to complain when you win. It carries more, or not complain.
But they're not
at least
complaining. That's the point.
Say the negative when you're
Well, they're
winning.
telling it like it
The
is.
system-
If it's negative,
Yeah.
so be it.
But if you're losing at that point, then it can sound like complaining.
Well, it's an excuse.
Yeah.
And fans don't want to hear excuses.
But if it's teams that are near the top of the league, then they can say it.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle said it when he was 5-7, and he said it when they were 11-2.
11-2.
And so nothing has changed. So that means it's real. And it has turned some people off, but nevertheless, away they go.
But can it sustain it? And really, when we hear them say that it can't be sustained, is that because it's changing so fast, it's hard for them to, the expression, wrap your mind around it?
Well, I don't think it's
like that
changing
now,
fast anymore. I think that this is the system. It's just the money's going up.
And they got to raise more of it.
Yeah.
And how are they going to do that? And they don't know, but just go out and try to raise it today, and then go out and try to raise it tomorrow.
Right. This
Go out
is
and
the
raise it the
system.
day after.
The system is here. The system isn't really changing last year to this year, right?
No, they just do their tweaks about when a window opens or how long it opens.
Yeah, and
blah,
that's
blah, blah.
cosmetic.
But it's still, kids are still transferring, and kids are getting a lot of money plus 10
And
or
we're having
20%.
X amount, hundreds or thousands. And so that has been the reality now for a few years. So here's the system. And fans say it's turning me off. And individually, there's no doubt about it. It has. I mean, it's not turned me off, but and I'm already jaded to begin with. I've been jaded since about 2 hours into this existence we call life. And here we are. I'm more jaded, right? My jadedness is basically, who's Texas Tech going to play in the conference title game in football? That's jaded.
They're not getting left out.
And the reason why we're going that way is not completely, but largely cash. Good for them.
But, yeah. You have to have good people and spend it wisely, but you better have the cash. And they do. And they apparently have some people who know what they're doing doling it out. So they're getting it to the right guys, getting it to the high draft picks. All right, DJ and PK, stay with us. More in a moment. Michigan wins it all. Mike Fulta is here at the top of the hour. We're going to the Masters at 8:30. It's all ahead right here on The Zone.
Just a bunch of guys sitting around and talking sports. This is Scotty G and friends.
Tony Jones from The Athletic. When you get blown out at home by a team that lost 16 in a row, I applaud that lack of effort. That was impressive by the Jazz.
The length that the Jazz are going to pull this off and to make sure that they keep that pick. I got to say, this is the best front office in the league at this point. I'm all in. Because they're going to keep their pick, all right? They're going to get a top 5 pick. Listen, you ready for me to get wild on here?
Let's go.
I'm going to get
Let's do
wild
it.
on this show.
Let's do it.
If the Utah Jazz get A.J. Devancer, they're winning an NBA championship within 3 years.
Lloyd, you rolling on that? Lloyd's got
Lloyd, you got that?
it. Wow.
Catch Scotty G and friends weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
The KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest, and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. DJ and PK, the national title game is in the books. Michigan wins it all, and their starting five are all transfers. Is this what we want for college basketball? And the answer is basically no. As Gary says, no, but it is what it is right now.
Well, you know what's interesting? Because it's a fact that they are all transfers, right? You can't argue that. That's literally a absolute fact. It's impossible to argue about it, right? But one of the things that I wouldn't say argue, but point out is that one transfer was from UAB, right? All right, not exactly a basketball powerhouse. And then you've got another transfer who sat on the bench for UC Los Angeles, right? He played 13 minutes a game. And now look at him, man. He's looking like, I'm speaking to the Mar kid. I think he's from Spain. And he's worked himself into, it looks like he's going to be a draft pick. Doesn't it look like a little bit of a Mark Eaton story there?
Late bloomer.
Well,
big
same
guys.
school.
It happens. Yeah, you see.
Decades apart, but sat on the bench. Now, he ends up transferring. I don't know, Mark would have maybe. The rules obviously were different in those days.
Right.
So you just wonder, okay, it sounds bad, but it's true. And then they had a non-starter at Illinois. And then you brought up the Cadeau kid, the one I said is from West Orange. He was basically run off at North Carolina.
So if you're not wanted or if you're buried on the bench, why can't you transfer? That's not exactly, hey, we missed on all the recruits, but we got the most NIL money, so let's just go get the conference player of the year from 5 different conferences and build a team.
Yeah, right, exactly. Even if it's a lower conference.
Right.
Because conference MVPs in lower conferences are probably pretty good players.
Yeah, Scotty G was saying that that Falsliv Stain is the first time the Mountain West Conference Player of the Year has returned to his school. Obviously, he won't return to the league because the league's realigning. But it's the first time he's returned to the school since Sam Merrill.
Well, yeah, last year was Dent at New Mexico, and he went to play for Cronin over there in Westwood. Yeah. And then I don't remember beyond that, but I remember last year.
Well, and also you have seniors winning it, so they automatically wouldn't return. But nonetheless, there is a whole bunch of, if you can make an all-league team at a lower level, whatever it is, somebody's waiting to poach you. You could choose to return, but you can move on. Just make all conference. They're absolutely going to be looking for you. But in this case, Michigan finds 2 guys that they think they can make work. They were not exactly starring at North Carolina and UCLA, so now they got a championship. So you can't lump them all together, to your point.
You can't, but even if you wanted to, as I understand it, the TV ratings, which somehow became years ago the most important thing ever, the freaking TV ratings. Your boy Hurd always used to talk about it. The TV ratings. And I know Scotty's gone after that Clay Travis guy who constantly talks about TV ratings. To me, TV ratings, and I get it, it's a business, so they do matter. It's just that they don't matter for me. I watch what I watch, and if other people don't want to watch it, what do I care? But the TV ratings are setting records. So the public, while claiming this is turning me off, the numbers don't jive.
Well, typically, it's hard to believe someone would take a half-truth to social media. I find that stunning. I think it's a couple different things here. I think where it turns people off is when they're following the local team and they feel like they knew their team and they watch their guys progress. Maybe they watch them progress from high school, when you're recruiting locally. But certainly, Andre Miller didn't grow up here locally, but people watched him play for 5 years. Jimmer Fredette didn't grow up here locally, but people watched him play and progress for 4 years. So with your local team, do you want to see these guys progress and their story? And when you're watching a national game,
that's junior high stuff. Who cares?
You didn't know Michigan anyway. You don't know all their guys and all their stories. You don't know UConn and all their guys and all their stories. So you flip it on, you're watching the brands at that point. So I think when it gets to these national tournaments and championships, how many people watch the title game? And you watch the title game because it's the only thing on. You're not sitting there because you know the storylines for all the guys on the team.
Okay, fine. And in the local, BYU, we just talked about it. They jacked up the prices, and the place was packed. And they didn't have any local guys.
It's all about the winning, baby.
Saunders was the only local guy. Right. That's it.
But I think when you hear people complain, that's the thing that they complain about.
Yeah, but everybody complains about something, but there's no substance beyond the complaining.
There are definitely people who are complaining, and then they plunk their money down and buy their ticket and go in.
Or they sit in front of the television, apparently.
Or sit in front of the TV and watch and cheer.
And if BYU was in the Final Four, the BYU fans would have been going nuts. And it wouldn't have mattered that at that point, suppose they got it together, minus Baker, minus Saunders. They would have had no LDS guys, nobody from Utah, and nobody would have cared.
Bedlam.
That's
Chaos.
3 nobodies in a row. And I'll add a 4th nobody because PK's the one saying it, and he's the ultimate nobody.
That's not true. I heard another story about that yesterday. But anyway. All right, DJ and PK, we got to take a break. When we come back, Mike Folta, radio play-by-play voice of the Utah Mammoth. Can they finally beat the Edmonton Oilers? The playoff push against the team they might face in the first round of the playoffs. That's next. Stay with us.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car is gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.